The story of Montero Lamar Hill,
Who the hell is that?
better known as Lil Nas X, begins like a fairy tale for the internet age. He was a teenager with a dream, a laptop, and an obsession with finding his place online. He started out making Nicki Minaj fan accounts on Twitter before transitioning to making music. His life changed when he released Old Town Road in 2018. By 2019, the song had galloped its way onto the airwaves. With a country twang mixed over a trap beat, the track became a viral sensation on TikTok. Then a record-breaking #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Almost overnight, he was catapulted from sleeping on his sister's floor to standing beside Billy Ray Cyrus on stage to running around the San Fernando Valley butt naked.
Say what now? Butt naked.
But fairy tales are rarely designed to last, especially when filtered through the brutal machinery of fame. Lil Nas X's early promise was undeniable, yet the very elements that launched him to stardom became the seeds of his eventual decline. Lil Nas X's rise was a perfect storm. It was the right song at the right moment, when country rap was breaking into the mainstream and the internet was hungry for a new icon. But the same forces that crowned him have now left him fighting to hold on to himself, with a career overshadowed by chaos. And today, we're diving deep into the unraveling that comes when a young star is consumed by the very machine that made him. But before we jump into today's video, Auntie Regina has something to say.
Me. Yeah, I'm gonna take my snacks to the Old Town Road. I'm gonna eat till I can't no more. Yeah, what y'all think about that?
Don't forget to scoop up something to munch on at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of Applewood smoked bacon jerky, freeze-dried goodies, and butter toffee peanuts. Let's take a trip back to 2018, when Lil Nas X was 19 years old, broke, and down bad. He was listening to the beat, and the lyrics came to him naturally. He managed to come up with $30 to lease the beat. Then he had to wait another month to go to a recording studio where they were having a $20 Tuesday deal. He told Gayle King that he knew the song would have a country twist, even though he wasn't a country music fan. He said, "I wanted to paint a picture of like a depressed kind of cowboy going to a better life. I wanted it to be like a sad leaning song in the beginning, but then just kind of turn into a banger, you know?" He released the song independently in December 2018, and he knew deep down inside that it was something special. He said, "I knew if I pushed this as hard as I could to keep this momentum going, I'm gonna have something." He created close to 100 memes to promote the song before it went viral on TikTok with the Yeehaw Challenge. From his organic efforts, the track debuted at number 83 on the Billboard Hot 100 before climbing to the #1 spot. It also debuted on the Hot Country Songs chart at number 19, but it didn't last. Billboard quietly stripped the track from the country chart, insisting it did not embrace enough elements of today's country music.
We don't want a little black boy on the country music charts. That's what that means.
While most artists would have been in their feelings, Lil Nas X took it all in stride. He told Gayle King, "I could see how somebody else would be upset, but it's like you're talking to somebody who's been sleeping on floors for the past couple of months trying to get some kind of song to move. This is the least of my worries, pretty much." So on the surface, he shrugged it off. However, to many, it was a reminder that boundaries still existed, especially for a young black artist daring to blur them. After a bidding war, he signed with Columbia Records, and the song was re-released in March 2019. He also recorded a remix with country singer Billy Ray Cyrus. As of this video, the music video has over 1 billion views. The music industry was desperate for a new kind of star, someone young, internet savvy, and unafraid to break genre rules, and Lil Nas X was happy to deliver. He crafted a persona that was equal parts mischievous troll and cultural provocateur. His Twitter presence was razor sharp, often mocking haters with the same humor that made his meme accounts popular back in the day. And then in June 2019, on the last day of Gay Pride Month, he came out to the world. The immediate impact was a surge of attention. Major outlets praised his openness, calling him a trailblazer as one of the first mainstream black male rappers to come out during the height of his career. For many LGBTQ fans, his visibility was powerful. Representation has historically been rare in hip-hop and country, two genres that often reinforce rigid ideas of masculinity. His decision to live openly challenged those expectations and positioned him as a disruptor. In that moment, Lil Nas X was no longer just a viral star of a novelty song. He became a symbol of cultural change. However, the announcement also put him in the path of more scrutiny. Within hip-hop, there has been a long history of homophobia, with artists and audiences often ridiculing or dismissing queer men. Within country, where he had already been rejected by Billboard's charts, the image of an openly gay black man performing cowboy-inspired music created another layer of tension. Fans who had celebrated the catchiness of Old Town Road were now forced to reckon with the artist behind it. Critics and internet trolls quickly began framing his sexuality as a reason to dismiss him. The pressure of this backlash was magnified by his age. At just 20 years old, Lil Nas X was still developing his sense of identity when the world began dissecting it. Psychologically, this can create a defensive posture, and many of his career moves afterward can be seen as attempts to reclaim control. His bold use of imagery in the Montero Call Me By Your Name music video, where he incorporated religious and sexual themes, can be interpreted as a direct confrontation with the narratives others tried to impose on him. In the video, he falls from the Garden of Eden and attempts to seduce the devil.
What in the hell is going on?
Conservative commentators described it as satanic, while progressive fans called it art. And then he teamed up with a company called MSCHF, Mischief, to release some footwear called Satan shoes. The shoes were modified versions of Nike's Air Max 97, and each pair featured a bronze pentagram charm, an inverted cross, and one drop of human blood, and a $1,018 price tag.
He doing too much now. He doing too damn much now.
Of course, some of the general public was outraged, and Nas loved all the backlash. He tweeted jokes and memes in response and even posted a fake apology. However, behind the surface of playful trolling lay the beginning of a dangerous dynamic. The world was paying attention to his stunts more than his songs. MSCHF and Nike settled their lawsuit in 2021. As for Lil Nas X, he exited the situation relatively unscathed. Or so he thought. Psychologically, this moment marked a shift. Lil Nas X seemed to internalize the idea that provocation equaled relevance. The more outrage he could stir, the more coverage he would get, and the more streams would follow. But controversy is an unstable foundation. When the spectacle becomes larger than the artistry, an artist risks becoming a caricature. His later singles, while still polished, struggled to replicate the magic of his debut. The shock value was there, but the substance was slipping away from him. The decline did not happen overnight, but it was visible in chart performance and cultural reception. His debut solo studio album dropped in September 2021 and landed at number 2 on the Billboard 200. It was certified 2 times platinum thanks to the song Industry Baby featuring Jack Harlow. However, fans who once rooted for him began to express fatigue. What was happening beneath the surface was a classic case of an artist burning under the heat of expectation. Lil Nas X was expected to be an icon, a chart topper, a revolutionary, a social media superstar, and a cultural commentator all at once. For a young man still figuring out who he was, the pressure was suffocating. The industry wanted the next viral moment, fans wanted the next Old Town Road, and critics wanted artistic evolution. That impossible mix created a cycle of self-sabotage. The signs of strain showed in his social media habits. He once disappeared from social media for 3 months, only to return and joke about being on maternity leave. Fans began speculating about label disputes, creative blocks, or mental health issues. Nas himself admitted in interviews that he struggled with anxiety and depression. Fame had given him everything materially but robbed him of stability. The psychology of sudden fame often leaves artists with imposter syndrome and paranoia. For Lil Nas X, it seemed to manifest in a tug of war between wanting to please everyone and wanting to troll everyone. The psychology of trolling itself reveals deeper truths. Trolls thrive on control and using humor to dictate the narrative. For Lil Nas X, trolling was both armor and a weapon. It allowed him to strike at critics and maintain a sense of control in a world that constantly judged him. But trolling also eroded trust with fans who wanted vulnerability and sincerity. When every statement feels like a joke, people stop taking the artist seriously. And when the music is not strong enough to cut through, the persona takes over completely. As his music faltered, so did his public perception. Where he was once the underdog, fans began to see him as detached, unserious, and overly reliant on controversy. His attempts at comebacks, including teasers of new albums and cryptic posts, were met with indifference. In the celebrity world, indifference is more deadly than hate. Because when people stop caring is when the checks stop rolling in. Industry forces also played their role in the decline. Labels saw him as a marketing tool rather than a long-term artist. In other words, he was seen as disposable. The pressure to replicate his debut success led to rushed campaigns and overexposure. As of this video, he has yet to release his follow-up album. And that brings us to August 2025. At 4 a.m. in the morning, he was spotted roaming the streets of San Fernando Valley wearing white drawers and a pair of boots. When spotted by a fan, he reportedly told them he was headed to a party and put an orange traffic cone on his head. Multiple people called police to report the incident, and the Los Angeles Police Department arrived on the scene. Lil Nas X reportedly removed his panties and reportedly charged at the officers and was taken into custody. He was later transported to a local hospital for a possible overdose.
Bestie, do you want to rewind to the part where you said panties? Because first time you said drawers and boots, and so I was thinking, some tighty whities and some boots, maybe some boxer briefs. Second time, girl, you said panties. I feel like you was being a little messy right there. God, I'm probably right. Don't even say nothing, girl.
Because of his history of online antics, many people thought the incident was a publicity stunt to drum up interest in a new project. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Days after he was apprehended, social media users uncovered a video he had posted 6 months before. In the footage, he revealed that the last few years had been pretty difficult.
Because I don't want you guys to feel like I'm being flaky and very, very all over the place. These last few years were pretty difficult for me. They have been pretty difficult for me.
He went on to say he wanted to focus on having fun.
And most of all, I really want to make sure I have fun this time around. I don't think I got to have as much fun during the Montero era because I was more overly focused on, making sure the songs did well than making sure I was having fun doing, you know what I mean?
On Twitter, the first response underneath the footage was, "Who the f still listens to Lil Nas X?" Perhaps the music will have to wait. As of this video, he has pleaded not guilty after being charged with 4 felonies for allegedly injuring police officers while he was being apprehended. He was released on a $74,000 bail and was ordered to attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings, since police alleged that he was under the influence of substances at the time of his arrest. As you can imagine, social media has been having a field day with this entire incident. He's been mocked, ridiculed, and clowned despite clearly suffering with some type of issue. The psychology of a downfall often reveals as much about the culture as it does about the artist. Lil Nas X's trajectory mirrors the way we consume celebrities today. We lift them up as symbols, demand they embody everything, and then tear them down just as quickly. As fans, critics, and onlookers debate his legacy, the truth remains that Lil Nas X was more than a one-hit wonder, but less than the revolutionary some hoped he would be. His rise was meteoric, but his decline has been painful to witness. It is a reminder that fame built on spectacle requires constant escalation, and eventually there is nowhere left to go. As the dust settles around his recent arrest, the question lingers, is this the final chapter of Lil Nas X's story, or just another twist in a saga that has always been defined by extremes? Whether he can pull himself together and reclaim his spot on the charts remains to be seen. What began with a viral TikTok hit ends with mugshots and speculation. The rise of Lil Nas X is no longer just a story about a hit song. It is a story about what happens when a young man is swallowed whole by the same culture that made him famous. If you enjoyed this video, let us know down below. And thanks for watching RRG.